Have you ever spent way too much time choosing the right font combination for your website? You pick one font for the heading, another for the body, and maybe a monospace font for code blocks. And somehow it still doesn't look right. Well, today I found a really interesting tool called FontTrio that might solve this problem. It gives you ready-made font combination designed especially for a modern web project, specifically if you're using ZCN UI. So in this video, let's try to use these tools. So I already generated a brand new Next.js application and just try create this really simple landing page. So let's take a look at the result. So anyway, I'm going to use this extension in here called what font to just check what font we're using. And as you can see, all of this is basically using Arial by default because Next.js give us this option by default. On the body, font family is Arial, Helvetica, Sans Serif. So that's why all the font right now have font family Arial, right? So if you take a look in here, all of this is basically Arial. But if you go to this code right here, this is Menlo. So what is that mean? Why? Because in here on the page, this is basically using pre-tag. So pre-tag is unique. If you take a look in here, the HTML pre-element will by default use monospace font. So this behavior is part of the default styling provided by web browsers to present performant tags exactly as written in the HTML file. So just don't confuse about that. And if you take a look on the layout in here, Next.js by default give us these two fonts, Gaze and Gaze Mono. And also by default, we have this variable font Gaze Sans and font Gaze Mono, and already apply the variable on this class name. And if you take a look on the global.css, we already have these font sans and fonts mono and paste that variable name, right? So that's why we can use that. For example, I'm going to copy this font sans, copy that, go to page, and on the top right here, I'm going to paste that class font sans. If I save that, now you will see all of this font now is case, right? All of this is case. Let's try to using the another one, which is font mono. So I'm gonna copy that and we can just paste that to whatever place we want. For example, I'm gonna paste that in here on this code here, all right, class name to font mono, and I'm gonna add that class name as well on the pre-tag in here. If I go to this right here, right, case mono, if I go to this right here is case mono as well. So normally if you want to add or change the font, you will go to Google Font, right? And you can search any font or you can sort by trending, most popular, whatever, and maybe you find this cool right here. Oh, okay, this is a cool font that I'm going to use, Google Sans. So if you find that, you will go to this on the top right here, you import the Google Sans, right? Google Sans like this, and you create variable, paste that into this class name and create the theme inline in here and using that variable to the page, right? But right now we can use this FontTrio to find really nice fonts. So as you can see in here on the pairings, if you go to, for example, on the editorial, clean, bold, or whatever you want to see in here, for example, this creative, and maybe I like this plus Jakarta Sans, right? As you can see, it's basically have these pairings. So for the heading is using plus Jakarta Sans, for the body using PT Serif, for mono is using source code Pro. So let's try to just clone this. I'm going to using this command in here using npm. Go to the terminal and then paste that, right? So as you can see, it's asking me to install ZCN because this is part of ZCN. So I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes, of course. And the component, yes. I'm going to use base for now. It's fine. I'm going to use whatever, Nova. All right, so let's just take a look what we get. Now, as you can see on this landing page, all of this is changed right now. As you can see, it's using plus Jakarta Sans for the headings and the body here using PT Serif, right? It's cool. Everything is just applied automatically. So let's take a look on the add theme inline object in here. As you can see, we have this font sans. The variable font sans right now is doesn't exist. So let's take a look, right? It doesn't exist. So this is not useful. So let's just remove that if you want. What we're using on the layer base is basically font heading and font body and font mono, right? I'm not sure why there is a duplicate in here, like these two variables using the same variable come from the font source code Pro. So I just want to remove that. And this one right here, right, is duplicate as well. And let's take a look. Font body, PT serif, this one as well. Anyway, we have a mono, heading, and body, right? So I'm not really sure why on the add layer base, on the down here, we have this HTML, font plus Jakarta Sans, fonts PT serif, and etc. So these three font is already applied on the layout basically, right? This one right here. So this is basically duplicate code, so we can just remove that. If you go to the layout right now there's no Gaysan and Gays Mono, so we can also remove that. So I'm going to remove this. Here we go. So let's take a look at the result. As you can see, it's still working basically. The heading, right, the body, it still works because it's just grab the data from here. So anyway, how if I comment this layer base? What will happen? Now, as you can see, it's basically we're using the system UI by default, and all of this is system UI. But this code, of course, is using source code pro because in here we already put that as a font mono, and we're using that down here, right, as a font mono class as well. So that's why we have font mono. I also not really sure why I put these three font on the HTML because we already do that on this base, right? So let's go to base. Where is that? This one right here. Right, we already put the heading on the heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, etc., and put the body on the body and paragraph and the code as well. Right, on the code in here we put the font mono. All right, so let's take a look, and as you can see, using plus Jakarta Sans, PT serif, and also source code pro for the code, everything works really nice. So for example, I want to change that font, right? So let's go back to FontTrio. Let's try to another font. I want to go back in here and maybe this one right here. So I'm going to use that, right? So I'm going to copy this and go back to terminal. Let's try to hit enter as well. I want to say yes, this will override the styling. All right, we have this error code in here. I'm not sure. So let's go back to layout and this comma in here. So I'm going to remove that. Here we go. So anyway, it's basically create another font for us. As you can see here, Carla, right? Whatever it is. And this apply that down here. And also on the global CSS, it also apply that in here. And yeah, let's just take a look what the result is. As you can see, it just apply, right? We have this heading for the heading, and then the body, and also for the code as well. Plus Jakarta Sans, you have to remove that. This one right here, let's remove, and also don't forget to go back to your global CSS and make sure on the theme inline you have this heading, right? Heading come from this new font, and the body as well, right? Yeah, I think everything should be fine. And yeah, the one thing that I'm not really sure is why you apply the font on this HTML using HTML apply. You also do that on here, right? So basically you can just remove this class name, and also you can also remove this HTML in here, and it should be works as well, right? It still works basically. So overall, this is a really great tool. You get 3 fonts that are nicely paired and ready to use in your project. Just make sure to always review your code and verify that everything is applied correctly. Thank you so much for watching. See you on the next one.